Hello, welcome back to Jonathan Investigates Women's Football, a channel where we discuss things that may not make the national newspapers or the national television, but subjects that I find equally as important and equally as interesting. Today we're discussing with the Moneyfields FC Women's Football Manager, Karl Watson, a subject, well, a couple of three subjects. One to do with the fan base, how important that is for their club and other clubs at this level. And also the rate of pay, equality, and what their structure is within the football team. So plenty to get into in regards to that, and what looks like a very successful season so far for the Tier 4 team, who's pushing for promotion in the Division 1 Southwest. Let's hear what he has to say. But before we hear what Karl Watson has to say, why now? Why am I doing this interview right now? Well, in the summer, an article came out that really inspired me, and it's something that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't have the platform to do it. So this was always on my bucket list. So thank you to Stu Barker for getting me in touch with Karl to discuss this topic. It's something that really is exciting, and I'm sure many clubs and many fans will like to hear what he has to say. I'm just going to read a couple of quotes on what was said in that article over the summer. First team manager Karl Watson said, "I'm extremely proud that Moneyfields Football Club is committed moving towards a parity and equality model. Our players can now look forward to becoming semi-professional players. The players have the same jobs and financial and domestic burdens, so it's only right that we strive towards parity and equality. Don't get me wrong, it's not a full-time salary by any stretch, but it is a huge step in the right direction. Of all the things that we've achieved at this club, I think this is the one I'm most proud of." To me, that's absolutely fantastic to hear. So let's get into it. Hello, thank you for joining me, Karl. How was your Christmas, mate?
Same as every Christmas. I'm not a Christmas lover, John, so I'll sit here worrying about what my players are eating and drinking and can't wait for it to pass me by and get back to it, to be honest.
I was going to say, obviously it's a Christmas break, but is it actually a break, or are you still switched on every minute of the day?
Still switched on every minute of the day. We know we've got a huge game coming up as soon as we go back, so you're always on edge, wondering what your players are doing, what they're eating, what they're drinking, trying to keep them busy with fitness programs and hoping that they're as focused as you'd like them to be, which is difficult this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, I want to get into obviously your season so far. It's been what I would consider very successful, especially looking at the league table. There's an article that came out in the summer that I really want to get into as well, and just the importance of growing the attendance and growing the game. So I want to get into all that. But just on that Christmas break, is that something that you really want, or do you want that 2 or 3 week gap? Because I know some teams may have had their final game maybe the first week of December, and then all of a sudden they don't get another game until the 5th of January. You know, it can be a little bit of a struggle, can't it?
Yeah, it's not something I enjoy. It's not something I like. I know, like today, I've been out watching men's football all day, Boxing Day. That game was something I used to really look forward to and enjoy playing in when I was a player. I think the break's too long. I think there's quite a few steps we still need to take in the women's game in terms of the growing the attraction of it and growing the excitement of it, getting it out into the community more. When everybody's on holiday at Christmas, why would you not have a Christmas women's program when you've got more opportunity to get people through the gate? There's lots of things I think we need to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. And as a fan, you want to get to those games as well, don't you? So 100%, yeah. Okay, so let's get into an article that came out this summer about Moneyfields FC Women going semi-professional. Now, I know this was a little while ago, so I'm not expecting you to remember everything that went on in the article there, Karl, but you made some great quotes about equality and parity, and saying that it's not a full-time wage, but it's a step in that right direction. First of all, it's obviously a lot of credit to even just attempting to do that, and let alone looking like that you're achieving it as well. Just what are your thoughts on the women's section, how it's growing so far?
Well, obviously, our rise at Moneyfields itself has been pretty rapid, and we get lots of attention in the area, and we've opened the eyes of a lot of clubs in the area to what the women's game can do to a club. There's a long way to go. There's still a lot of work for it. But right from day one, when Moneyfields rang me up and asked me if I would be interested in the project, it was a case of I'm interested, but only if we play in the stadium. We're not paying subs. You've got 2 first teams, not a men's and a women's. Parity and equality is where we need to be aiming for with this club. Our group chat at the club is called Parity and Equality, and that's been the target from day one. I know when I've signed a few new players, and they're kind of like, it's a bit of an odd name at the top of the group chat there, and I said, well, that's the target. That's you're not just here to play football. You're here to grow the image and grow the women's game as well. So there's been a target from day one.
I think that's amazing just to hear that, and obviously that's the quote that was in the article, and it's huge because I think there's a lot of lip service, and sometimes the terminology is very incorrect as well, in my opinion. So you just hit the nail on the head there, and it's kind of what I expected, having done a bit of research on Moneyfields, and obviously speaking to Stu Barker as well, who's heavily involved with yourselves. He's always kind of praised that up, and it's a great honour to to speak to you guys on that. Talk to me a bit about the structure of the club then, so to be able to set this section up, or how it's developed over the years that you've been there. Is there like a chairman or chairperson, I should say, or is there, how's it kind of run?
Well, when it first started, as I said, I don't know if you know that I was with Portsmouth Women when we won Tier 3 9-10 years ago. And a lot of the kids in the area I'd coached. So I knew that I had good contacts with lots of strong young players and good players in the area. So I set a target, and I said to them on day one, if you let me run with this, I'll bring you Man United to Moneyfields. We're not going to be a tick box charter standard girls thing. This is what's coming in the women's game. I sort of saw the growth of it because I'd been around it for a while with my daughters. And I knew where it was. Maybe not the explosion that we had after the Euros, but I knew that it was going that way anyway. And I wanted to be a front runner in that period. As you can imagine, a traditionally male men's club, local community, city-based men's club, I think a lot of it in the beginning was a lot of nods and yes, and you can go with it. I don't think they ever thought we would be where we are now, or 4th round of the FA Cup, or earning the vast sums of money that we've brought in, which obviously helps a lot when you go into the club to talk about the future. When you're bringing in vast sums of money like we have in the last few years, it helps a lot to make the older generation of men's football clubs' ears prick up and get a little bit of buy-in to it. So originally, the first few years, I raised all the money myself. Drove the bus, cut the oranges, got the sponsors in, they did all the usual stuff. But as we climbed through the leagues, the club started to acknowledge the success we were having. We've been very fortunate through the years to have good media. Pete, you've mentioned Stu already, who has got our media on a different level. Well, over the years, we've had lots of good social media, lots of good outlets, lots of people have we've caught a lot of people's eye over the years with different things we've done. I've done silly things like marching bands on the pitch at our first ever FA Cup game and stuff like that, just to get the club's attention out there. So the first few years, it was kind of 2 separate entities, but we were under their umbrella. And then I think it was when we won the Euros. I asked to meet the board and said, look, I am physically maxed out. The people I've got around me are maxed out. Now is the time where we agree on equal budget. We come under one umbrella. We all go into one pot, and we're one club, and we have a real one, not the lip service as you mentioned earlier, where it's one club and no one ever sees each other.
Yeah,
we are one club where you've got 2 first teams, 2 reserves, and then down the pyramid, and there's no discretion between the 2. And when the women won the Euros, they agreed that within 2 years we would have an equal budget. So the first year they gave me a little bit to build my infrastructure with. I used that on staff and expenses for staff, so that we were doing something that other clubs weren't, and paying coaches. And then into this year, when obviously we generated a lot of money last year, so we had a lot of bargaining chips to go in with. But yeah, so we managed to go semi-professional this year, and it's made a hell of a difference.
So many things I can get into there, but it's great because obviously, as a women's football fan, I have conversations with myself all the time, and I have to write down like a few things so I never forget them. But just on that, first of all, I think a lot of people who may watch this or who doesn't know National League or regional leagues, they're all very surprised about how much work a manager has to do away from an actual game. You know, you are very hands-on, and you deal a lot with obviously your transfers, the commercial activities as well. Is that something that you enjoy doing, or do you like to get other people involved with you, or are you relying a lot on volunteers?
I don't think I enjoy any of it because it's so. I just said to everyone, no one should be a manager. Only an idiot is a manager, because if you're not doing it in a paid position, I mean, the rest of the week, I'm lucky this year. I've got some sponsors that have backed me, so I get 1 day a week in the office where I'm paid to come out of my job to be in the office to run it better. But it's 100 hours a week. It's 6 a.m. till midnight every night, 7 days a week. Christmas, birthdays, holidays, walking around the pool while my wife's sunbathing, on the phone, and it's an absolute 100% full-on thing. You can't half be a manager. You can't be a manager and then put it away like stamp collecting. It's with you all the time. So yeah, only idiots do it. I don't know if it's enjoyable. I think it's more of just more of an obsessive, crazy desire to not fail and to keep getting bigger. It's an obsession more than an enjoyment.
Yeah, I think I had one manager say to me once, "It's not full time; it's all the time," and
Yeah.
that's the right way. You know, you never switch off, do you? I thoroughly can understand that. I think with the success of the women's team, obviously I live in the Midlands, so I didn't know too much about Moneyfields or up until about a couple of years ago. Then I started to get into them a bit more. I don't know what it's like, obviously closer to Moneyfields, but it doesn't come across as like a big badge. Well, it didn't up until a couple of years ago. How do you kind of compete with maybe the clubs that have got like a Premier League backed club or a Championship backed club on the men's side? Because to me, it seems like that you're holding your own and doing a little bit more on top as well.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of Moneyfields. That's what we've done from day one. From day one, we've taken Portsmouth, who were 3-4 leagues above us, and my old club, we've taken them right down to the wire in cup finals, and 2 or 3 of those we should have won. We were the only team until they got tier 3 and at the top with Ipswich. I think we were the only team that beat Southampton FC in the first 3 years of their existence. Bournemouth are it's crazy to think that us and Bournemouth are huge rivals, and I know that Steve Cuss and his guys down there hold us in high respect, and I know that they mean it when they come to play us. They know they're going to get a real game. Now, they don't have a budget. They have unlimited access to any finance, and we're running on a shoestring. And I think that's the attraction with Moneyfields. That's the part I love, being the underdog and being the one who just keeps punching above their weight. And when we went to City Lionesses last year in the 4th round of the FA Cup, owned by a billionaire, team full of internationals. And when the draw came out and we went in the classroom, I looked around the classroom and said, anyone here who doesn't think we can win this game, leave now and I'll call you after the game. I won't take it personal, but if you're not in this room believing that we're going up there to win, then leave the room now, because I'll be going with the ones who do believe. And we done endless hours of analysis, and our game plan, for the first 45 minutes against City Lionesses, we were the better side. We hit the bar, we put one in the side netting, we had another header which we should have probably gone in 2 or 3-0 up at half time, and ended up 1-0 down just because one momentarily lapse of the structure and game plan broke down. But that's the difference. See, when you've got countless money and you've got internationals, and you only got to make one mistake and they punish you. But I could not have been prouder of the team that day. And you still go away against a multi-millionaire side and think, you know what, everybody that we see after that, who want to bump into, and the chairman was watching out in Dubai, and it's like that was so, it was so close when it shouldn't have been. You know, it
Yeah.
should have been a training session for them. But that's what being Moneyfields. That's the attraction of Moneyfields. We are not a big badge. We're punching well above our weight, and we keep upsetting the big boys, big girls, if you like. And that's the drive. That's the target. I want to be the next Wimbledon in '88. I remember watching them win the FA Cup, and those fairy tales in football. Although I don't believe the FA really want us around very often. They want those branded names.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that we're still here annoying people. We're still there kicking shins and letting everyone know that football can be all about what's on the pitch. What goes off the pitch. If you get on the pitch right, what you got off the pitch means nothing. It's 11 players v 11 players, and we're going to keep punching above our weight. That's just what we do.
Well, you say punching above your weight, but ultimately, you know, it's down to the good coaches, good managers, good players that you've got. You know, they're on merit. You know, we saw it last season. There was towards the top of the table, and you're there again now as well. So, you know, credit where credit's due. You know, I can see why you might be punching above your weight in regards to the size of the badge and the money that you're up against. But you know, when it's 11 versus 11 and one dugout versus another, you know, you're there on merit, aren't you? I suppose, yeah. I suppose to be sustainable, you need like a good income, and I think fans are a huge source of that income. Obviously, you've got the commercial side, like player sponsorships. Obviously, you know, you've got a fan base there as well with regarding attendance and maybe putting money behind the bar. And social window is a huge shop window, and fans play a huge part in social media. I guess just to describe, like throughout the week, what kind of interaction you see from your fan base.
To be fair, that's one key area. I don't know if you know about the ground development being 2 years late. So that's one key area that our ground was supposed to have been finished. We got in there last summer. This is our first season in the new ground, but for 2 years previous to that, while we've been fourth round of the FA Cup and taking on all the big clubs, we actually didn't have a home ground for 2.5 years. We were moving around all over the place trying to find venues, different home grounds, because there was COVID and lots of delays on the ground development itself and costs going up. So we've literally just started this season with how we go about this, grow the fan base. Now we have been hitting reasonable numbers at certain times. We've had a couple of hundred in against Bournemouth, etc., and we've had some good ones. But right now, at the moment, it's a massive focus for us. Is reaching out to schools. We've got a couple of students from the uni down the road who have taken us as their project, and they're working with us in our community outreach. We've just started Mini Monies, which is kind of 4 to 10-year-olds. I'm just about to start my goalkeeping schools on Fridays, because that's another thing I love, is goalkeeping, as a goalkeeper myself. So we're reaching out now to start all these holiday camps, and that's the next step for us. That's right where we are now, is building that side of it.
I think the fact that you're actually being active and doing something about it and not just hoping that it lands on your lap, I think that's the first start. You know, you're actually going out there, pulling people in, and then when they come into the stadium, look after them. You know, I think that's really important, so they keep on coming back. I have seen a view of your stadium. I think it might have been done with a drone or something. Is it two pitches right next, like two pitches with a club out of the middle? Is it? Am I thinking of the right stadium?
Yeah, so we've got the John Jenkins Stadium, which is down to the last inch, exactly where the old ground used to be.
Okay.
That's the stadium pitch. Then you've got all the classrooms, facilities, offices, etc., and changing rooms in the building, boxing gym, etc., which we've used as well. And then over on the back pitch, you've got the community pitch where a lot of the youth teams play, where we train. So there's a second pitch there. It's very busy because we have PITC using it during the day and all their youth sides and projects. And we've got all of our youth teams in there, etc. So it's very busy, but it's a very nice premises. It's lovely to just have a home ground. That takes a hell of a lot of stress away after 2.5 years of never knowing where you are next week, you know? It's made a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. The place that you can call home is massive, and I don't know if it's open throughout the week at all for like fans to like meet up throughout the week. I'm not too sure what your location is like, but I know like being in the Midlands, you know, there's some clubhouses that are open throughout the week as well, where on the evenings where you can just meet up and have a drink. And, you know, I think that kind of thing is always a good thing as well, just to kind of a place that you can call home and have maybe events on over Christmas, Halloween, just a few get-togethers where you can attract, you know, parents of the girls section and boys section, of course, and get all them down and just to create that community. You know, you talk a lot about commercially what fans can do, but also to build a community and to build a togetherness. You hit the nail on the head regarding schools, but also the parents of the girls sections as well. You know, that's kind of like an easy target there. If your girls section comes as mascots and you've got 11 mascots, that's 24 parents. You know, all of a sudden that's 24 people putting money behind the bar. Your attendance goes up by 24, and you know, all these kind of things where you can create a community, and they want to come back. You know, the kids want to come back for autographs. So it's definitely, you know, it's definitely there for the taking, especially now you have got.
Have you seen any of our social media stuff about our match day experience? Because that's one of the things we've been doing. So we've got pre-match kick around stuff, football activities with maybe some of the injured players take it or some of the students. We've had balloon arches for Poppy Days to come out round through the tunnel. We've got the merchandise stand now, and now we've got the tunnel. We can play music. Creates a really nice match day experience around like in the ground now, and that's something that's really good on social media, and you can see all the kids having fun. And we did free selection packs with anyone wearing a Christmas hat on the last game against Abingdon and things like that. And yeah, there's lots of things we need to do. There's lots of things we are doing, but as anything, you can always do better, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But no, it's great to hear. It really is. And I do see that. And I think, you know, some teams don't do that enough. I think you need to shout about these things that you're doing, because when people look at your social media, they look like, oh, this is a fun place to be. You know, whether it be a new player that might want to sign, whether it be a new fan that wakes up one morning thinking, okay, I'm going to give this a go. Let's have a look on the social media. And they decide, yeah, you know what, this looks like the place to be. Let's give it a go. And then obviously once they go there, they can enjoy themselves as well. So absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Do you find that the marketing on the women's side is different to like the marketing on the men's side? And there's no like right or wrong answer here, but I feel like, you know, you do need there is a different market out there for women's fans, and there does need to be something slightly different. So as much as I love the whole one club mentality, I think some women's team fans would be a different kind of market.
100%. Yeah, I think you know, funny enough, in the early days when I was sort of saying to the men's club about how you've got 2 first teams, and I think originally they were worried that we might be after the kind of. I said, look, I'm not after the 3 men and a dog that come and watch the men on a Saturday. This is it's mums, it's nans, it's grands. It's a totally different environment. They're not beer drinkers who like shouting and swearing at referees. It's more of it's a totally different vibe. You go to Wembley and watch England women, and it's a party atmosphere. You go and watch the England men, and you got that very traditional testosterone based shouting and screaming and aggressive environment. It's a totally different place, and it's a totally different fan base. And I think once the men's clubs understand that, yes, you do get a few crossover fans that just love their club, but it is a different market. It is a different brand it is a different type of environment. It's a different type of fan base, and it's not a threat to the men's club, in men's teams in any way, shape or form, because it is that totally different market that you just mentioned. And the more young girls you can get in with their mums and their nans and make it a family day out for them, not just somewhere where they're sitting there freezing their cobbles off watching someone kick a ball around a pitch. Let them actually have fun when they come in, you know. And I will say that I know for a fact the product we're putting on the pitch is what it's all about. And I know that we've had some really exciting, entertaining games at the ground this year. So they're getting the best of both worlds as far as I'm concerned. And we're going to continue to try and target that fan base and make sure all these young girls and their parents, nans and granddads, keep enjoying their days when they come and see us, you know.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that whole match day atmosphere. It's not just 90 minutes. You don't just turn up to the club, watch the game for 90 minutes and go home. For me, I try and get to the ground as early as possible and leave as late as possible. Try and speak to as many people as I can who I might interact with over social media throughout the week, and yeah, it's a whole atmosphere, isn't it? Thoroughly agree. You talk about the brand on the pitch and the success on the pitch. It really has been, especially this season. Do you kind of just want to give the viewers a little bit about how your season's going so far?
Not well enough as far as I'm concerned, but yeah, we're in a good position. We've got I've got an unbelievable amount of staff that have bought into the vision that I told you about that I had when I went to the men's club. We're up to 13 staff now. General manager, secretary, grounds, photography, media, S&C. We've got psychologists. We're trying to cater and make sure that the players was looked after here as much as as close as we can get it to a professional club. That's, I mean, that was one of your questions, was kind of like, how do you build a semi-professional club? And the answer is, you have to be a professional club or as close as you can, but without the professional club money. That's literally the biggest difference. It's contact time, etc., that the money gives you. But when you're a semi-pro club, you have to always aim to be as professional as you can on and off the pitch and give the players as much as you can to assist them to be the best players they can and the best people they can as well. So it all intertwines. It all intertwines like that. But we could have, I think, still done a lot better this season. I think the squad, we've had a lot of bad luck, and I know that's not something I like to dwell on because I believe you make your own luck. But we've had key players injured at big times. I think when we went to Swindon the other week, we had 10 first team players out, including our goalkeeper. And we already lost one goalkeeper earlier on in the season to an ACL. So we've had a lot of bad luck on that side of things, you know. But we've got a big squad and they all buy into the project. They all know that there's no 90 minutes guaranteed for anyone every week. They're fighting for their shirts and what the target is and what we're here for. So we could have achieved more, but yeah, I've got a fantastic group of players and staff around me, and we're intending to finish this season strongly.
Well, you mentioned Bournemouth, and obviously that was like so close last season, getting promoted. I think the mistake just by maybe like one game. So obviously they're one of the favourites. So for you to push them as much as you can is obviously a massive achievement, isn't it? Yeah. If someone else who's pushing Bournemouth, you'll have to help me with the pronunciation. One of your strikers, I think she scored something like 18 goals. Is it pronounced Shannon Albury? Help me out with that one, please, mate.
Shannon Albury.
Albury, is it? Okay, yeah. So I always like it when people shout out some of their players or someone who's obviously done well throughout the season. So if you want to start off on Shannon, obviously she's like one of the leading goal scorers in the league, sandwiched between two of the
one of the leading goal scorers in all national leagues. I think she was second in the six different divisions. Shannon Albury's a great kid. She's had some insecurities. She's moved around clubs quite a lot because maybe hasn't felt the love where she's been, or, you know, different people manage players different ways. But I told her last year I tried to get her in, and I said, look, I'm going to look after you. So we're gonna get you those targets. She wants to play championship and she's ambitious. Last one on the training ground, first one there every session. Absolute football nutcase. And everything you want to see as a manager. I have to literally tell her to get off the pitch and we're turning the lights out. And she's everything you want her to be. And she's come in, took a little while to settle in, but she's always been a goal machine. Portsmouth, she scored something like 38 goals in a season, tier 3. She's a goal machine, great touch, always doing all the basics well, and just loves football. When she first came in, positionally, how the mechanics of her game and style fitted our game and style. Took a little bit of a while to understand, and took a little bit of a while to get the mechanics of it right. But as soon as we did, she's banging goals in for fun, and now she's understanding that sometimes there's a right time to pass a ball and give it to someone else in those key areas as well. So we had a conversation early on in the season. I said, look, you might score 30 goals this year, but if you don't pass the ball at the right time, we might only score 80 as a team. If you learn to combine the two, we can score 100 instead of 80, and we finish higher up the table. You might only score 28 instead of 30, but as a group, we're going to be better. And once she started to understand what I'm looking for, and we've had lots of conversations with each other, she's been great. She's been absolutely fantastic. And some of the goals, and now the goals, she's got friendships, which I don't think she's ever really had friendships at previous clubs. I think where she's moved around a little bit, and she's quite a fragile person sometimes. I don't think she's ever felt at home so much, and I know that for a fact because I've had her mum and dad and Shannon approach me regularly, just keep saying thank you because she's smiling. We've got her arm around her, made her believe in herself, and as you can see, the stats are there. The ball's hitting the back of the net on a regular basis, and it's great. She's a great kid.
Great to hear. Yeah. Look, I want to let you go, but just one last thing. Firstly, thank you to Stu Barker again for helping set this up. Just a word to your fans then. So 2025 is fast approaching. If you could just try and get people down, what can you say that they can expect? Supporting Moneyfields FC Women.
Yeah, come on down and see us. Look, I'll guarantee anyone who comes to see us is only going to see fast, exciting, high energy football, and some of the quality that we've got now in this squad is ridiculous. And anyone who's maybe not seen the women's game before, come and watch, because if you can understand that it's the same sport, but it's a different game because of the physicalities, but appreciate it for what it is, you will still see a very genuine, honest, hard-working, but also creative, exciting brand of football. Come down, try it, come and have a look. If you don't like it, I'll shake your hand and hold no hard feelings. But I think you'll be back more than you'll be not coming back.
I think a lot of people say the same. It only takes one game. If you just get to that one game, you can guarantee that you'll be back. So hopefully, you can help keep building your home now and keep on improving season after season. Look, thank you very much for joining me, Karl. It's something that these topics are something I think about quite often and speak in my local area about. So it's really refreshing to hear like a different voice and someone a little bit further away from home as well. And it sounds like that you're doing a fantastic job there. So, Karl, best of luck for the rest of the season, and speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much, John. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas break.
Thank you, Karl, for that great conversation. I don't like to call it an interview because it was a conversation. It started obviously 10 minutes before the video and about 15 minutes after the video that you've just seen. And I think the first thing that struck me about Karl Watson is actually a women's football fan. He's been in the game for a very long time, and he thinks about things not just from a manager's point of view, not just think from a commercial point of view, but also from a fan's point of view as well. And you can see in the things that he says and in his mannerisms and in the passion in him. He wants fans to come to the ground. He knows what it takes. It's now just a case of building it and getting there. The culture of the club is very important to him. The players that come in, how they're treated, what they're feeling about the club, and throughout the week is really important to him. It's about signing the right player, and I think the right player would automatically be drawn to Moneyfields. I really do, and I can see that getting to know the club a bit more over the last few weeks. He's also had to overcome a lot of obstacles as well, as he mentioned. 2.5 years without a home, without a home ground. It's phenomenal. How you're supposed to gain a fan base when you're constantly ground hopping. It's really poor, but now they've got their home ground, and I've seen images of it, I've seen videos, and it does look really remarkable. So definitely go and check that out. And if you're in the local area, why wouldn't you go and see what Moneyfields are all about? They are growing, they're doing very well on the pitch as well. Results don't mean everything, of course, but when they're towards top of the league, you're going to go and watch wins as well. So you're not just going to support women's football, you're actually going to watch a game where you're very likely to watch them win a game as well. So for me, all this talk as well about a one club mentality, he's really proving that it's not just about lip service. It is about creating that whole culture, that whole vibe. His team chat being called equality and parity. There's so much going on there that made me think, wow, this is amazing. And it's certainly someone that I would like to keep in touch with because is really opened my mind, and yeah, really exciting. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and wish Moneyfields FC Women the best of luck for the remainder of the season.